Global shipping firms are scrambling with new rules set to come into effect later this year in the US, hitting Chinese-built or owned ships with fees of millions of dollars. Deutsche Welle correspondent Kassandra Sundt joins us now from Berlin. Kassandra, g'day. So what are these new US rules?
Well, shipping industry advocates that we've been speaking to say that these rules are the first of their kind. They essentially say that if a ship is Chinese made and docking at a U.S. port, it gets hit with a fee of $18 per net ton and $50 per net ton if it's a Chinese made ship and owned company. And so when we're thinking about these really big ships, just one container can weigh 17 tons, according to the Port of Los Angeles website. So that fee stacks up really fast. The rules are set to go into effect in October, and I know that that sounds far away, but from a global shipping perspective, it's right around the corner. Getting a shipping container from port to port between China and the U.S. can take anywhere from 14 to 42 days, according to some quotes I was looking at. And from Australia to the U.S., it can take up to 58 days. So even if a ship left today, it wouldn't arrive in the U.S. until July 13th in some cases. And so when you think about ordering, manufacturing, shipping, getting a product to shoot ad campaigns, we're basically already in the midst of Christmas time planning and scheduling for some companies and producers. So it's just another cost and more uncertainty for the global shipping industry at a crucial time for decision making.
And so what's the aim of these rules from the US?
Right. I know these fees aimed at China might sound something straight out of President Trump's playbook, but this is actually following a petition filed by 5 major labor unions in the U.S. during the Biden administration. The aim was bringing back the U.S. shipping industry. Essentially, there's this pointing of the finger where officials say that the subsidies that are backing the Chinese shipbuilding industry contributed to the loss of American shipbuilding. That, of course, will sound pretty familiar to many China watchers, where the U.S. is essentially upset about Chinese shipmaking dominance. But pointing to China as the reason isn't entirely accurate. The U.S. had been bleeding shipbuilding capacity to Asian countries like Japan and South Korea for years, especially in the middle of the last century. But China has also really ramped up. When we look at new ships built per year, in 2015, China made about a third of them in the world, but as of 2023, they make more than half. So the problem, according to some critics, is that to build a ship, you need a healthy steel industry, and the U.S. steel industry has been anemic for decades.
And you touched a bit on the costs before, but stepping back a bit, what does this mean for the global shipping industry?
Well, the shipping industry has really been facing some stormy seas recently with these U.S.-China tariffs that have been lowered for 90 days, but there's still a lot of uncertainty because why would a business want to order items manufactured from China to the U.S. if they're going to be hit with triple-digit tariffs? But now these fees are set to go into effect in October for Chinese-owned companies or Chinese-made ships. And it's not like a shipping company can go to the shops, right, and get a new ship in the next month or two. I was looking at one Japanese maritime company called Aegis, and they said that building a new ship can actually take anywhere from 1 to 3 years. So there's going to be some choppy waters ahead for many of these shipping companies.
Okay, Kassandra Sundt there in Berlin. And Donald Trump's 90-day deadline for countries to negotiate a deal on tariffs is counting down, and much of Southeast Asia is in a race to offset levies that could crush their exporters. None more so than Vietnam, a country that's boomed in recent years as an alternative to China, with electronics, textiles and machinery fueling its economic growth.